Hello. It's Springathon! Is this your outfit for Springathon? Yes. Let's read your book. Cow says moo. Farm Animal Playbook. Cow says moo.
I could stay like this, forever following you.
Are you laughing? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I'm wearing socks. Look, Daddy, I'm keeping them on too.
Status. If there's any problem with the machine, you would show them.
Oh, I love that. So it tells you I don't feel.
Yeah. So you have to remember too is that this is your heating and air conditioning all in one. There's no outdoor unit.
Yeah. Today I read Waiting by Hajin. I didn't read all of it. I read some pages. I don't even know how much. But maybe that will fulfill one of the challenges for the Springathon Readathon. I chose the book because it's by an Asian author and I'm trying to read books by Asian/Pacific Islanders during this month. At least one book, and this is maybe that one book. So I read some pages of it, and maybe it will also fulfill the Springathon challenge to read a book about travel or destination, because the book is about a man who travels home every year to try to get his wife to divorce him, and she keeps saying no, so every year he returns unsuccessfully to his job as a military doctor, and where he is seeing another woman who's waiting for him to divorce his wife so they can be together. So I read some of that today. I also read some pages from Underland by Robert McFarlane, which will be my nature writing nonfiction book for Springathon as well. But I can't say too much about it because it's a book that I'm reading to judge this round of the BookTube prize. So I'm almost finished though. I'm gonna try to finish it up before I go to bed, but even if I don't, I'll work on it early tomorrow morning. So that's tonight's reading. Talk to you tomorrow. You can't eat my book. No, you can't eat my book. Mommy's writing. Mommy's reading and writing notes. No, you can't eat my book. Listen, can you read your own book, please? Your grandfather has a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he has some goats, E-I-E-I-O. With a man here and a man there. Here a man, there a man, everywhere a man. Your grandfather has a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Not quite a recent book haul, but these books have been here for a while because I don't actually open packages as soon as they come anymore. This one has been here since we came back from Jamaica. Beyond Awkward Side Hugs by Bronwyn Lee. This is nonfiction about, well, here's what it says. Living as Christian brothers and sisters in a sex-crazed world. I thought it would be interesting to read this one given where we are now in the world in terms of social distancing and not really having physical contact. So I'm going to be reading this to review on my blog pretty soon. Then I got these two novels. This is Carolina Breeze by Denise Hunter. This is the next installment in the Bluebell in Romance series. I read and reviewed this one a couple of months ago, and this is the next installment. So I think this is going to be an interesting read for Springathon if I can get to it in the next few days. I have Masquerade at Middlecrest Abbey. This is Regency Romance by Abigail Wilson. I don't think I've ever read a Regency Romance novel before. And then we have The Opposite of Certainty, which is also nonfiction. This is a memoir by Janine Urbaniak Reid. What are you doing? What is happening? What is happening? calm down now? Are we calm now? Okay. So today is Thursday, which means it is day 4 of Springathon. How many books have we finished since Springathon started? We finished Underland by Robert McFarlane, which is a BookTube Prize nonfiction candidate, so we can talk about that. And for Springathon, what else did we read? Oh, we've been reading Waiting by Hajin, and not quite finished, but almost. And that's been about travel, because it's about a man who keeps traveling back and forth from his home to his military assignment in the city. This is in China in the 1960s, and he keeps going home every summer on his leave because he's trying to divorce his wife, but his wife refuses to grant him a divorce. And we're supposed to feel sorry for him because, well, it was an arranged marriage. His parents found him a wife to take care of them in their older years. But even though they had a child together, they never fell in love. And eventually he falls in love with a woman in the military. It's really interesting, but we're not quite finished yet. So that's what I'm reading right now. And I also started reading Parkland, about the Parkland shooting in 2018. And that's another candidate for the BookTube Prize. I'm listening to an audio version from my library. And yeah, that's our reading right now. So today we're going to try to read some more. But for now, we're going to go play. We're going to go do some playing on the mat. Yes, let's go play. These are the colors. So when you touch it, it's going to tell you the colors. What color is this one? This is orange. That's orange too. Very good. This is red. Where else is red? That's red. 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 Good. Where's red? Show me something else that's red. Very good. His nose is red and his tongue is red. And this is blue. Blue. Show me some more blue. That's blue. Very good. And this is green. Let's touch green. 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 Show me some more green. Show me some more green. This is green. That's green. And this is yellow. Show me something else that's yellow. That's yellow. Yes. What? Why are the cups on your feet, little girl? Good morning. It's Friday morning, and last night I finished Waiting by Hajin and started How to Get Rich in Rising Asia by Mohsin Hamid. Hoping to finish that one today so I can talk about them in my Friday Reads video. And this little one is snoozing on my chest. She woke up crying, so I just decided I'd hold her for a little bit and let her take a little snooze on her mommy's chest. You okay, Pumpkin? Hey, Mr. Squirrel. Say hi, baby. Hi, Mr. Squirrel. We won't hurt you. Oops, he went on top of the house. That right there is the result of not leaving home for 7 weeks when you have to order everything. So, what you want to see.
I could stay like this, forever following you. Just don't get too far, and I'll be right where you are.
Watching the previous parts of this video, we had a vlog up, but just in case you skipped to this part of the video, we're here for the Friday read, so we're just going to talk about the books that we have been reading this week. The first book that I finished this week was The Girl with the Lauding Voice by Abi Dare. This one is set in Nigeria and is following a 14 going on 15-year-old girl whose mother has died, instilling in her the value for education. But after the mom died, the father sold her into a marriage to a much older man who already has 2 previous wives. but he wants a young girl to give him sons because his previous wives have given him daughters. And so this young girl, her name's Adoni, and she finds herself married to this old man. She doesn't love him, and he is abusive to her. But other than just the abuse that she suffers from him, also the first wife is very, very mean to her. And eventually she finds herself able to run away, and she is in yet another situation where she's being abused by a woman who is in power over her. What I find so fascinating but also shockingly terrible about these books is not just how the patriarchy is represented here, but how the patriarchy is enforced by women, how women who are powerless find themselves being mistreated by women who have slightly more power than they do. The thing that is, I guess, jarring about this book is the language that it's written in. This young girl, our main character, she speaks a dialect which comprises English, but also some broken English that comes from her native tongue. And so the book is written to represent her language, her thoughts, and so it's written in dialect for the most part. And as she gets more mature in the book, the language gets a little bit easier to read, but also you get a lot more accustomed to it. So this was very interesting. I'm giving this a high rating. Not a perfect book because it is a debut after all. There's a lot that happens here. There's a lot of just plot, one thing after another happening, but I'm really happy that I read this one. The next book that I finished was Waiting by Ha Jin, which I'm not sure how. This is a National Book Award winner. It has nothing to do with the United States. This one is set in the 1960s in China, and we're following one man and the two women in his life over the course of almost 2 decades. A man who joins the army. I guess in China in the 1960s, all the young people had to enlist in the military to complete their patriotic duty. So this young man, he left home, I think at 16 years old, and went into the military, and his parents found him a wife that he didn't know who she was, but they arranged this marriage for him. And she started, I guess she moved into the home to start taking care of his parents when they were ailing. And so he finds himself indebted to a woman and eventually has to marry her, and they have a child together, but they're not in any kind of a relationship. They don't love each other. She says she has feelings for him, but he never cultivated feelings for her. But eventually, in the course of his military duties, he meets another woman that he starts to develop romantic feelings for, and so he tries to divorce his wife. And every year when he gets his annual leave, he returns home to try to divorce his wife, but she won't let him. And so he's almost intent on doing whatever he can in order to fulfill this relationship with the woman who's captured his heart. The book is about their waiting, lots of characters waiting for the next phase of their lives because they think that this next phase is going to be better. It was a very interesting look at relationships, but also because it is allegoric for China, communist China, but also what people probably expected to happen, what they expected their lives to be after the end of one reign, after the end of one rulership, after the end of one dynasty, what happens in the next. Should we wait for the next better phase of our lives? So I found that interesting, but I didn't think that this was a great book. There were some things that were definitely missing. There were some holes. Not really sure the choices that the author made in how the characters were represented. We didn't really feel sympathy for them. Hey, are you tapping the drums again? Huh? You beating the drums? We didn't really feel sympathetic. Well, I didn't really feel sympathetic towards these characters, maybe as much as we could have. But this was the first book that I read for the Asian/Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. So I was glad that I read that. And this also, I think, fulfills a category in Springathon because this is about travel/destination, kind of, very loosely. The next book that I have been reading, and I'm not quite finished, I am about 2/3 of the way in, hoping to finish that one today. This is How to Get Rich in Filthy. This is How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia, and this is by Mohsin Hamid, who gave us Exit West a few years ago. That was a Booker shortlisted novel that I read and was interested in, even though I didn't altogether love that book. Mohsin Hamid is from Pakistan, so this is another book by an Asian writer that I'm trying to read, trying to get to some of the unread books on my shelves, especially for these readathons. So this has a droplet of water on the front, and so it fulfills a category for Springathon, and it's also, of course, by an Asian author. This one is a novel, but it is based loosely on how a person would use a self-help book to dig themselves out of poverty and try to find prosperity in business, and also fulfillment in love. So how a person would try to use a self-help book to get advice on how to be successful in their lives. And so at the different chapters, all the different steps that you might find in a self-help book, how this author is representing this main character using those steps or living out those steps. So it is a little bit of a rags to riches story, but it's also about a relationship, falling in love. This young boy falls in love with a girl from his community, and as they both grow older and they're both seeking success and prosperity in their own lives, following their own paths to what they want out of life, how their paths veer in different directions, but also kind of how they come again together. Very interesting so far. I'm not a huge fan of Mohsin Hamid's work. This is only the second thing that I've read from him, but I didn't altogether love Exit West. So I'm hoping that this will wow me. I know that he is very well known for his book, what's the title? Reluctant Fundamentalist. So I'm still hoping that this is going to get even better. So far, it's pretty interesting. It is representing Pakistan almost like it's India. So I'm interested to see how this author is portraying his own country through Western lens. I'm not sure. We'll talk more about that when I'm finished. But the other book that I started reading this week, and so far I've completed part 1. This is The Splendid and the Vile by Erik Larson, and I'm doing a buddy read of this one. This is historical representation of Winston Churchill's role in England, Prime Minister of England during World War II. And it's a story that I know the general structure, the general outline, but I'm interested to see what I'm gonna learn from reading this book. And so far I'm loving the writing, loving how deep the author goes into the history. So there's a lot more book to love. Looking forward to that. So that's what I've been reading this week. I also finished Underland by Robert McFarlane. Read an e-copy. Finished that one this week, but can't talk about it because that's a BookTube prize contender. And I also started reading Parkland. Can't remember the author's name for Parkland, but that's also another BookTube prize contender. That one is about the Parkland school shooting in February 2018. So 2 books that I was reading this week that I can't talk too much about. But so far, it's been a really bookish week. A lot of reading has been getting done. So looking forward to telling you more about that next week. We're going to probably start another vlog over the weekend. So hope you're enjoying seeing these little snippets of our lives. And we'll be back next time for another video. We'd love to chat with you in the comments. We'd love to hear what you've been reading, how your week has been going. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Say bye. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, all the vlog footage, everything. Thumbs up. Let's chat in the comments. And until next time, happy reading.
Just don't get too far.